I was never a candidate, somebody you would pick out of the crowd to say, this guy's going to commit suicide one day. Because as a friend of mine said, when I tried to talk to him about I was becoming self-destructive, he says, why would you be depressed? Everybody wants to be you.
Sure. I mean, you're playing music with Dolly Parton.
Right.
Emmylou Harris, for those who remember back to those days, I was a fan of hers. Some of the Christian greats, Michael W. Smith,
Right.
Stephen Curtis Chapman, great family. I mean, what was going on, Eddie?
Well, it was it was a partnership deal, and we had an entertainment venue, a family-oriented entertainment venue in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, and I just got in a bad partnership deal. It was the classic wolves in sheep's clothing. The very, very short version of that story is I offered them a lot of money to buy them out. They wouldn't take it. They locked me out of my office and the business, and basically just took over. And I lost everything. Everything we'd worked for our lifetime.
So you had a bad business deal, and in reading in your book as well, you came from probably a performance Christianity. Right. You did have success. You're in a church, and then they're telling you you're too old to perform. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I turned 50 in February, and it was the following summer that this all happened. And I was already there. I mean, I'd lead worship in front of 2,000 people and go to my office and get on the computer and look for ways to die gracefully. I wanted to do it with a little bit of dignity, and nobody knew I was there because I was a good performer. Mm-hmm. Even my wife and kids, they knew I wasn't the old me, but it wasn't that I was threatening suicide or I wasn't off the deep end. And it was all event driven. But the final straw was when the pastor and his associate called me into his office, and they told me collectively that you're too old to be relevant anymore.
Wow. So, I mean, I guess when you look at it then, you were in a maybe, state of depression.
Right.
And this was the final straw.
Yeah.
So take me back to July 2006.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get a few hours away from where you were at that time. You're checking out Chicago, Minneapolis, and other places. You smash your computer, right? And you get rid of your cell phone.
Right.
Tell me what happened.
I didn't want to be traceable in any regard, and I left notes in my office. I left at 4:30 on that morning, July 6th. And that wasn't unusual for Nancy because she was used to me going in early because that's when I did all my creative stuff when nobody was around. So yeah, I went to the office, left the notes, took off to Minneapolis, checked into the hotel, paid cash, assumed name, all that business.
With no ID, by the way.
No ID. No, I didn't. Yeah. For whatever reason, they when I put $300 bills on the counter, they went for it. And it was a name brand hotel. It wasn't the Sleaze Inn, I mean, it was. When I was leaving, I wanted to be comfortable going. So, that being said, yeah, Thursday I took all these pills. I had over 200 Ambien with me, and so the bottom line is, excuse me, I went to sleep, and I don't remember anything until Saturday morning. They were looking for me all over the country. The reason for Minneapolis, it was just 4 hours away, and I wanted to be a needle in the haystack. I didn't want them to find me until I was irretrievable. I woke up on Saturday. The only thing I remember is thinking, how am I still alive? And I've got to end this. So rather than being elated or thanking God that I was still alive, that I had another chance, I started picking up more Ambien off the floor that I'd spilled, some that I had not taken yet. And the bottom line is I called home that morning. I don't remember any of it. Called home to say bye to Nancy. And there'd been 50 to 100 people staying with Nancy and the kids at the house through this whole ordeal. So Nancy actually answered her phone that time. Everybody had been answering it for her. She answered it, and I said her name, and the whole place erupted, So the bottom line is they figured out where I was. I finally told them. Again, I don't remember any of this. They kept me on the phone for 45 minutes till the police arrived at the door. And the only thing I remember about that morning was looking through the peephole of the hotel room door and seeing a badge. And the other thing was the sound of the siren in the ambulance and just looking down my body being constrained. I don't know what, I don't know what all it meant, but I get to the hospital. The only thing I remember is by the time they got there, it was Saturday night, and that's when I really began to remember things now. And even there, they jumping into bed on top of me, hugging me, kissing me, my wife and kids, and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm still miserable.
I was going to say, what was your state of mind at that point?
I was embarrassed. I thought, now what am I going to do? I was the same thing because I'd spent all those years basically cursing my own life. And what I mean by that is, for example, in the hospital, you idiot. You can't even, how can you take all that and not kill yourself?
So the self-loathing continued.
Oh yeah. I was still self-loathing. Now I was really in trouble. How am I going to provide for my family? Nobody's going to touch me. We all know. I mean, it was crazy. I was looking at 28 days in a mental health institute. I mean, it was just a mess. And I thought, what? And so I would go through Saturday night, didn't sleep at all, go through Sunday morning, all through Sunday afternoon. I'm just channel surfing. Kids are down getting something to eat in the cafeteria. Nancy's on the bed beside me. And then, of course, I'm chained to a nurse who's like from me to you because I'm on suicide watch. And she had been pretty, non-responsive, so to be. She's just kind of sitting there and having to spend her weekend watching this guy that tried to take his life. I'm channel surfing in that scenario, boom, T.D. Jakes. And the moment I hit T.D. Jakes, he says, and everybody in the room heard it, and I've got the DVD of it, the spirit of suicide is on you, and if God hadn't rescued you, you'd be dead right now. And that was in the context of a message he was preaching about the power of the blood of Christ and overcoming depression. And boom! So it was in that 30 minutes around that show and what he spoke and how I responded to it, I wept from a place that I can't even describe. I tell people that I took my own life and God gave it back to me. And he reinvented my life on the foundation of this is the day the Lord has made and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And when I did inventory, the Lord took me through. He says, we're going to rewire you. We're not trying to get you to the old guy. We're going to make you a new one. So I'm the living, breathing textbook definition of a new creation. And God reinvented my life, and things that had become cliche and trivial and trite to me because I had become so cynical because of all I'd been through, He reawakened all that in me and reinvented me completely. And so I waited 10 years to put this out because I wanted longevity of what God had done.
Right, yeah.
I didn't want it to be, that's all well and good, but we'll see how it turns out. It's proven to have been a long-standing, ongoing miracle. And now I feel like God's called me to reach out to people the rest of my life. And I've got friends around me that are helping me do it, like you guys now, to share that there is hope and that there is a God who cares about you, even on your worst day. And even when you don't even, He loves you when you don't love yourself.